All right. Hello. Today we are going to go through and design. Let me turn that music a little bit there. We're going to go through and design a pencil skirt. I was thinking about doing it straight from scratch, but I'm actually going to use, I'll show you how to do it from working from different pieces that already exist. So I've pulled 3 different skirts from my own collection that I like different parts of, and I'll show you how to combine them and how I turn them into a pattern for a brand new skirt. So we'll give it a go, and I don't know if I'll get it finished tonight or not. I haven't done this in a while, so we'll kind of see how long it takes me. I'm not sure, but we'll find out. So let's get started. So I've got 3 different skirts here. So I'll show you. This one I like the length of the best. It's got a nice, they all have high waist, but this one has a waist that fits right at my natural waist. It has a waistband, and then the bottom of it fits right at my knee, and it's a very flattering length on me. So I'm gonna use the length from top to bottom on this one. On this kind of beautiful, it looks really orange on screen, but it's really a beautiful raspberry color in person. This one, I love the cut. It has a great shape. It has great seam lines, but it is a little too long for what I'm trying to do today. It has very high waist and it goes well below the knee. This one also has a beautiful lining. I think, what have we got here? Yeah, this one doesn't have a lining, and this one definitely doesn't have a lining. So we'll also be looking at the lining on this one to make sure that works. But this one has a front slit, and we don't want a front slit. So we will be looking at this one here, which has a very wide yoke, so we're not doing that. Bit of a specific design, but it has a nice back slit. So we'll be using the back piece on this one. And I think we'll be putting in a back zip as well, because that will go nicely with the back zip. So we will get that started. So I'm gonna lay out some paper here. Now I was so mad, I bought this paper and I was looking, I'm used to working with this beautiful kind of literally translucent kind of paper, and I thought that's what I was buying here because it said vellum, but I'm gonna end up rolling that over the edge of the table, aren't I? But it turned out, I mean I had to buy it online because of Corona, right? But it turned out it's really more of a full white paper, but I think it does actually have quite a bit of, like if you put print underneath it, you can actually read it quite well. It probably doesn't show up on camera. So I'm excited to test it out and see how it works because I bought like a giant roll of it. So hopefully it'll do what I want it to do. I can't imagine it wouldn't work, but it's a little bit of a shame because I'm really used to working with that lovely translucent paper. But we'll give this a go and see how she goes. Okay, so now this one is going to be the length, so we're going to start with this just to lay it out and make sure we're working with the right dimensions. Put those over to the side for now. Now this has a piece of tape on one part here, so let's see if we can get rid of that so we don't have to waste this whole section of paper. Just from where it was on the roll. Yeah, it's a shame because it's a little thin. I would have almost liked, if I was going to get a non-translucent paper, I would have liked to have gotten a thicker craft paper, whereas this is really more of like a standard paper. But it's here now, and I've worked on worse before. I've definitely done a lot of pattern drafting on, you know, kind of whatever was available, so this will definitely work. Oh, this tape's being annoying. I might just cut the page. I have enough of this paper. I don't have to worry about losing too much of it. Oh, am I getting it? There we go. I knew I could just pull that right off. Wonderful. Put that in the garbage. Okay. Yeah, now it lays flat perfectly. Okay, so dimension-wise, I'm not going to put any seam allowance on this, we're just going to do it straight. I got my big, beautiful curve ruler to keep nice straight lines. Start with that. this has a hem on it. So I'm gonna write on here right away. What is this? +1 inch hem. Oh, I need a. I'm gonna be right back. I need a little ruler. I don't know if that's true.
Oh no, it was on your desk.
It was under my desk, but
I used it earlier.
found it. I don't think you did, because these. If you used any of these, I would be concerned.
The last one, the angular one.
Oh, you used the big giant L ruler.
It's the only one I found for some reason.
For what?
To measure my foot so I could maybe get moccasins.
Okay.
I didn't actually buy the moccasins.
Good.
Well, no, I'd like to get a pair of moccasins in the months or both.
Eventually. Alright, so this one's good because it's inches and centimeters, and this one is good because it's inches and centimeters. But it's kind of silly because it's inches on one side and centimeters on the other side, but it was the only one I could find that did both, so. That's useful for me, who lives in Canada and has to deal with both the States and everywhere else in the world. Okay, so how long is this hem? This hem's a little more than an inch. Does it measure out in centimeters better? It does. It's exactly 3 centimeters. So I'm going to write here +3 centimeter blind hem so that I remember. And then the very top of this is, now the front's different than the back, so I'm avoiding the back. That's where the top is, and we'll just draw a nice, we're just literally tracing where this exists. Now we're not going to cut the curve on the side because I'm going to take that from the pink skirt because I liked that curve. The buffering's really bad, hey? Is that, let me try, I don't have very much open, but let me close what I do have open just in case. It might just be because I've got the 2 cameras going, I don't know. Oh, it's more of your laptop issue? Well, I'll close my extra browser anyway, just in case. Oh, now it's probably going really slow because I'm trying to do stuff and it's probably freaking out. Yeah. Close this one. And that might help a little bit on this end. Maybe. Yeah, I know you're not responding. Come on, you can figure it out. Okay, so top to bottom, that's perfect, and that's the correct... No, that's not actually the correct waistline I want because this one was a little too wide on me when I tried it on an hour ago. So we will cut the waistline from this because this waistline was perfect, an inch down from the top. And then as you can see, like this one is much skinnier but also much longer, so that's why we're kind of mixed and matching here. Just gonna try to make sure I lay it flat. Okay, is this gone? Go away, and then that should all be working. Alright, hopefully that's working. Oh, is this the keyboard for your old laptop? Is it a good one? Now that's the back, so we are going to turn around to the front because they do work differently. Yeah, especially on this one, the front is definitely smaller than the back. So we're going to keep that in mind. Try to lay this out. Yeah, see, that side seam really doesn't want to lay flat on the seam because there's a zipper in it. But make it work. It doesn't have to be perfect at this stage because we're going to be adjusting it once we get all the pieces organized. But it does need to make sure it's not secretly using. Actually, I know what I'm going to do, which is grab some little clampy clips so that I can make sure that all the seams in the right place. Where are my clamp clips? There. There we go. So I can hold it down flat. And you're tracing out a pattern. It's important to get it as accurate as possible from the start. Otherwise, you're just going to cause yourself trouble later on. But as I said, we're going to be adjusting it once we see how it looks fully. So we'll have a chance to correct anything that does go weird. And this side's going to need a lot more clamps than the other side because of the zipper. I can work with that. Now this is technically a couple different pieces, which is why we're cutting them without seam allowance, because they're all going to be flush to one another. But because it is a three-dimensional object, you can see how it's all ruffled in the center. Those are things you want to be careful of when you're trying to lay it flat. One more on this side down at the bottom. Yeah, because especially because I'm not going all the way to the bottom on this skirt, so I don't need it to be perfect down here. But it's funny when you do this, you realize all the stuff you didn't realize before. Like this, the front is actually much wider than the back. The back is perfect like this, but the front overlaps, which I never even noticed until I did this. Actually, oh no, I don't need to worry about that because my front is going to be one piece. My back's the part where it's going to have the seam. Okay, so let's line up the top of this. Okay, 1 inch from the top because, and then centered on this. Pretty good. And then try to get it straight down to the bottom. And we'll measure it at the bottom and make sure it's straight down here. Got pretty much exactly 2 inches on that side. And then pretty much exactly 2 inches on that side. So that's good. I'm going to call that. We're going to leave the waistband as I drew it originally, but we're going to add in the new side seams, which will fit better. And we're just being careful to try to get them where the seam lies, despite the fact that it wants to curve up. But these clamps are a good idea. They're holding it really nice for me. And this just goes straight to the bottom there. And you can see how much of like a pencil line this skirt has. It's very dramatic which is exactly what I'm looking for. It is finally design time. It's only been like 6 months since I said I was gonna do this. Now this one, because the zipper's in here, I'm giving it a bit of extra breathing room because that zipper curve takes 3-dimensional space. So like, yeah, see, like when I pushed that out, it actually popped all the way over to here. So I'm just gonna pull the rest of it out that far. Making sure that I haven't shifted it from this side, and I did a little, so we're gonna shift it back. And then redraw that, which is still kind of in between, about there. The zipper really tries to move it on you.
Hope you're wondering what's happened.
Okay, that's good. Oof, that wants to move around. Should have got some weights to hold it still, but here we are. Okay, now we're onto a regular seam, so it'll be a little bit easier. Okay, and that doesn't go all the way down either because there's going to be a line there. Still even? Yes, I didn't shift it so much it went uneven. Okay, so that is the front skirt. Let's draw in these side panels. Actually, I think I will just draw in this one side panel and then I will duplicate it on this side because this one is a weird one because it's this weird overlapping flap here. So we will mark where this one is and it's right there. Make sure that's correct. That is correct. And then we're just going to go further up the skirt, just marking it along the way. And then we'll connect it with a ruler. And we're done. Making sure the side seam still matches. Do it from the top. Is I also want to mark in the waistband here because I actually like the placement of this waistband. Okay. That one should be both sides. That should connect nicely. Oh, and I'll put a little marker in here for that. Good. That'll do. Okay, and I'm going to transfer it over, mirroring onto the thing. Oh, and the hem on this is actually much longer. I like this hem better, so we're gonna measure this guy out. He is 2 inches exactly, or 5 centimeters. So we'll switch that from 3 centimeters. Because the skirt's a little bit higher quality, so we'll copy him. 2 inches or 5 centimeters blind hem. Okay, let's draw in these side seams and that waist curve. And this will be on a fold, so yeah, I'm not going to worry about the second side here. Oh, except this one has a zipper on it, so maybe I should worry about it a little bit. Can't forget that zipper. Hey, thanks for following, Killbot. We are just designing a skirt. Oops, too high. There we go. Okay, so that's the bottom hem there. Let's draw in this seam here. Now, looking at this, it should be pretty much a straight line. So I'm just going to try to match up all of these, and everything except for this one matches in a perfectly straight line. So I'm going to, which is weird because this is the one that shouldn't match because I think it has a little bit of a curve to it. So let me just double check and see if it is perfectly straight or if it has a curve. Maybe it's perfectly straight. But even if it is, one of them probably isn't because that's... Yeah, no, this one definitely has a bit of a curve to it, so... Yeah, I can feel that curving there. Okay, so we're going to mark that curve in, just manually, because that's an important part of the three-dimensional shape of the skirt and why it actually looks good when it's on, because the original drafter drew it in very nicely. So make sure you're working from the front again, because the front 3/4 curve is very different than the back 3/4 curve, because the back 3/4 curve has to be much more dramatic. The front one, just a little bit. Your front hips don't stick out as much. But they do a little. So I'm actually just going to move these clamps to this seam. Let me get it nicely. Or I'm just going to drop them all. You know, whatever works. We are making a pencil skirt and we are redesigning it from a couple different pieces, or a couple different styles mixed together from some different skirts. And putting them all into one skirt. Now this is where I can see it's curved, so I'm actually going to use more clampy clamps to make sure I capture that entire curve. Good. And now I'm going to match up the waist seam there because I know the top and the bottom seams don't match on this piece because we did the top and the bottom seams from the black skirt. The waist seam matches, and then we'll try to match it to the lines I did draw in, especially the bottom and the top ones. Okay. There we go. Now we've got that beautiful curve. And we're going to straighten that out. We just wanted the curve up here. But we definitely want both pieces to have a curve. So when we cut this, we're actually going to mirror this curve on both pieces. So maybe I'll just draw it in. I'm just checking the weave of the fabric to see if that's exactly what they did. And that one's curved, and I think this one's curved too. Yeah. So I'll just try that. Shift it over. So I use pencil. There we go. Okay, so now you can see I've got two different curves. And, well, I don't know if you can see. I have no idea. Tell me in the chat if you can actually see any of the pencil markings or not. I don't know if it's showing up. If not, I could probably change a filter or something to make it more visible. We're only going to do it on one side because the other side's going to be an exact mirror. And where's my big curve? I have a big curving ruler. Let me see if I can find it because this is exactly what I need it for, to get a nice smooth curve in places like this. but it's okay. The pattern's not going anywhere, so. Okay, so that's the whole front of the skirt. We are going to eventually fill in all these curves nicely. And like I said, it doesn't have any seam allowances. Let's move to the back. Do I need zipper wise? No, I'll fill in details regarding the zipper later. Yeah, and then let's take a look at the lining before I switch to the back, just to make sure there's any weird lining details I need to make note of. Zipper is standard invisible zipper. And we've got a stiff satin waistband and then a nice thin lining material. What have we got? That's sewn down. That's sewn in, and this is just an exact duplicate. Sewn flat. Yeah, okay, that's pretty standard. Perfect. Yeah, lining's just matching the skirt. And we'll take a look at the lining again when we're finished the back pattern. Oh, I love The Matrix. It's a good movie. Although I mean, the one I'm supposed to be doing should be black, white, or pink, but the fabric I actually currently have is a beautiful kind of blue on white, kind of traditional French print. So I think that's what I'm going to make this out of. I haven't 100% decided, but that's kind of what I'm leaning toward. Just because I have the fabric already and I've completely not managed to order sample fabric. Which I should have done months ago, back when I was originally supposed to have drafted this pattern. Now I'm just shifting the paper so I can get to the fresh section. Oh, not that far. Too far! So I can draw the back. And we're gonna start with the same margin on the bottom, just so I can make sure they're the same height. Remember, we're going to use this gray skirt for the back. This skirt also has a beautiful shape to it. Actually, let's see how close it fits with the other one, just for comparison, because I like both shapes. And so if they're both pretty similar, then we should be good. Good, and this one's a little short, and I did want it a little longer, so that's perfect, because the one I drew is a little bit longer. This one actually has a more dramatic curve than the one I drew, which is interesting. Oh, that's funny. It has a more dramatic curve on that side, but not this side. And this one does go up higher. There we go. That makes more sense because I knew this one was quite a bit shorter than the black one, but it also goes up higher on the waist. So that's the trick. It has to be positioned properly. So we'll position it so that the waist fits. And then actually, yeah, that makes sense because then the waistband pretty much hits the same spot. And then the curve is actually pretty close. Well, we'll see when I fold it over, kind of, we'll even out the two curves and make sure they're both kind of balanced. Although again, this one needs a bit extra for that zipper. But yeah, that should be fine. Okay. Try to use these to keep the paper roll from rolling off the end of the desk. We know this is pretty similar, but we want to make sure wow, the waistband is pretty much at exactly the height of this top of this ruler, so that's not too bad. This part's right at 80. And this part is an extra 6 centimeters. Oh, I tried to put my hair in front of my ears and I never do that because it drives me nuts. And I'm like, no, I can do it for one night. I cannot do it for one night. Get the heck away. Now this should be higher because it's a shorter skirt. Good, and match up with the bottom line. This one's pretty much at the top of this ruler, and then add another 6 centimeters. And that should be the top of the waistband. We'll do a flip to make sure we've cut it evenly. That's why it's so nice to have a big L ruler. So you can ensure that, yeah, it is up at like a millimeter or two, and that's important, honestly. Add my 6 centimeters. The problem is this ruler is still a little bit too short. I had these beautiful, gigantic ones back before I moved to France, and I have no idea who even ended up with them, but I certainly did not. And it's a shame because now I really miss them. And then I tried to buy a new one, and it's good, but I don't think it's as big as, I don't know, maybe I'm misremembering. Maybe the ones I had weren't quite as big as I remember, but I remember them being very, very useful. Okay. Now the nice thing about this is if you draw in your square lines, you can get pretty accurate squares because they're just so large that you don't end up wibbling them, adding in variance all over the place. So you can draw a very accurate 90-degree angle, which is very useful. So like for instance here, I know where that is, I know this is straight, and so I know that my top and bottom line are going to be parallel, which can be quite frustrating to achieve without one of these guys. There we go. Oh, that's actually pretty good. That's perfect because I knew this was going to be a couple millimeters higher than what I drew, and it's exactly a couple millimeters higher, so that's good. Now this one should be a couple millimeters too, and if so, then we'll be feeling pretty good about the marks we made. Make sure your lines are matching. And you'll have perfect 90-degree parallel lines. There we go. And right along here. What do we get? Yes, look at that. Perfect. Okay, that's actually really good though. Those were pretty much on the mark. Turn on your follower notifications. How do I turn on my follower notifications? If you can tell me how to do it, I will do it. Okay, so we're feeling good about the locations for these things. Now this skirt's weird because it has a very flat back waistband seam, but it has a nice curved front waistband seam. But the one we're working from mainly has a nice curved waistband, so we'll work with this one for the waistband again. this one have? This one doesn't. Oh, this one. Okay, so I have to be careful because this one is a stretch material, so it actually doesn't have back 3/4 seams. It does have a back center seam and the side seams, but not a dart in the back in order for shaping. Whereas this one is a thick, heavy satin that can't stretch, and so it has all of its lines built into it. And since I'm going to be making the skirt out of a thick material similar to this, not this, I need to make sure I incorporate the curved seams. So that's good to keep track of. Just means it's going to have a few more seams than it would otherwise. But that's actually good because it'll make it more tailored. And then, yes, we're sticking with the back zip because we have the back slit. No, I took it on my clamps. Put some of those back in. Now I don't need to worry too much about these side seams because they're just going to match the front side seams. And in fact, even drawing these carefully doesn't help me because I'm going to be copying it directly from those ones to make sure they're identical. But for now, to make sure everything, make sure I get that waistband right and stuff, we'll just put a couple clamps in. There we go. And yeah, this one you can see like how rumpled it looks laying flat because it's not designed to lay flat, it's designed to curve. So again, I will be recorrecting those side seams to match the front ones, but for now I just need to make sure it is balanced so that I can put a curve in there. Actually, no, I know what I'll do. Just drop this down and steal the curve. That's not too dumb an idea. And then obviously we will fix that up and polish that up with an actual French curve later. But just to get an idea of how much the curve should drop. And I'll do that on, oh, I already did that on the front, so that's fine. Yeah, because the back curve is less curved than the front one. So you can see that on camera. Logged into the Streamlabs website. Okay. Oh, I don't know if I've ever logged into the Streamlabs website. I just use the program. Okay, let me see if it's in the settings. Alert box. Let's see if I can do this on my phone because my screen is quite far away from me and I can't see a darn thing. Okay, what am I trying to do here? Streamlabs website. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. I'll figure it out eventually. Let's see what we got. Alright. Hello, Strange Brood Tabletop. We are making a pencil skirt. We are in the midst of sketching it out. And right now I'm trying to turn on stream alerts. Something. Which is probably not very interesting to watch, but... Oh, I just typed in Streamlabs, but I figured it out because Google's very smart. Can I log in? Whoa, close. You let me log in on phone? Okay, I don't think it's gonna let me log in on phone, so I'll try to do that later. But it's in the chat, so I'll be able to look that up and hopefully get it added eventually. Yeah. Alright, so back to this. We have done the front. We are going to do the back of it now. We're going to work in... I'm going to rip my paper. We're going to work in these side seams here, which as you can see are quite nicely curved. Let's make sure we've got... Oh, I was in the middle of doing this waistband. That's where I was at. Let's see if we can work that in. And then this skirt doesn't actually have a dead center because it doesn't have a center back seam, but this one does. So let's swap it out for a second. Match up the curves. That looks great. And then again, we will be doing this on a... Oh no, we won't be doing this on a fold because the flap down here is different on either side. Or maybe not, yeah. Again, love the 90-degree ruler because it makes everything great. I'm just feeling with my hand to make sure that seam is running up the ruler. Actually, I'm having trouble finding it because it's perfectly on the seam, which is a good sign, except for right there is what the problem is. I think that's perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that, pull this, and draw my line. Okay. That's pretty close. I was off by a little bit there. Are these even? Not even height-wise. God damn. Okay, I've got... No, I need to do this in centimeters. 8.5 centimeters. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it should be about there. Which means this should be over slightly. I'm going to shuffle this line over just a little bit to kind of be in between there and there, just to make it match more center-wise. have another horizontal line up here to match. So make sure we're getting it on the right angle. Couple millimeters. There we go. That should be just a little bit more. 8 and a bit centimeters, a little bit more than half. And 8 and a bit. Perfect. Okay, so that's the center seam. We're not going to worry about the side seams because we're going to copy them from here. We are going to worry about this back center panel. I love Star Trek. I've just been watching Deep Space Nine all month. But I've never actually cosplayed Star Trek. I should at some point, though. It's definitely something I would like to cosplay. Now you can see this one's not as high quality as this skirt. It doesn't have a lining. It does have a nice waistband. And it does have side seam. Maybe the back slightly marked. So how did they do it? They just did it like that, and then how did these guys? This slit's completely different because it doesn't cross over, so we're going to ignore that one. That's why we grabbed 3 different skirts to pull pieces from. And that's how you steal like an artist. You just grab inspiration from a whole bunch of different sources. And then eventually, you have something original by the time you're done. Okay, so what have we got? We've got regular seam allowance all the way down the zip. And then, oh, actually these do both. God, I haven't done a back, I'm trying to think if I've ever done a back slit skirt. I think I have. I think I did one with a lining for some reason. But it would have been so many years ago, I literally don't even remember doing it. But I'm pretty sure I've done a skirt. I think one of the first things I ever pattern drafted from scratch was a pencil skirt because they're a nice, easy thing to draft. I'm pretty sure it had a slit. So this should all come back to me theoretically. Okay, let's see if I can pull this out. Are they identical? I think they are supposed to be identical. Oh, I get it, except this one has a folded over seam and that one doesn't. So this one's actually a little bit longer than that one. Okay, good to know. Okay, so we'll use this one, I guess. Doesn't really matter. So that's the seam. And I have to remember to do it from the stitch line because there is no seam allowance on here. And obviously, the actual fabric part is the seam allowance. So match up the seam allowance to the drawn seam line. I think this one's going to need a longer slit than that one because it is a longer skirt. Now if I do it this high, will it be absolutely indecent? That's a front slit. Let me physically check. I think this one goes to my... That's going to be too high, so we'll do somewhere in between the middle of them. Front slits you can go higher than back slits. So it wants to go all the way there. We'll split the difference and call it about there. And we will test this before we make the final copy. Lemon juice 12. Okay, and then this isn't that far over. How far is that? We'll just... The trick to this is just making lots of measurements. It's not really a lot of math, it's just a lot of measurements. There's some math, but not at this stage. This is about... No, it's in nothing. What is this number? Because it's 5.5 cents. What's this one? About 4 and something centimeters. So what did we say? We want that to come up to there, so do it here. We don't actually want it that far. We want it on this angle though. And then that's my stitch line. I can just see it. So I'm going to hold that with my finger and mark it out here. Now I kind of dropped it a bit lower. But that's okay because that's where the actual slit's going to be. And that's going to be the higher location. So perfect. Connect those. I think this just is a straight line, isn't it? Is perfect. No, I've got to make sure I get these in the right order. Okay, I'll just do all that later. How much is this folded over? This is folded over 5.5. Which means this will be just a little bit less than that because it doesn't have. Oh, 5. Plus the half because it's folded over. Perfect. So, do both of these even because that's a good number. Draw it straight up because I know that's a 90-degree angle. And that'll make it all match. If anyone is interested in seeing the sketches for these, well, for this one in particular, but there will be more forthcoming, the original style sketches, the fashion illustrations, are up on my YouTube channel from quite a few months back now, I think. And then, I want to say this month, but maybe this month or next month, there'll be some new sketches coming out for, I haven't decided, either a spring or a fall collection. This one was supposed to be done by now, and it isn't, so I kind of don't want to rope myself into something else I can't finish in time. I don't want to be like 2 collections behind, so I might just skip one and jump to another spring collection. But theoretically, I have so many ideas for a fall collection, so it's a bit of a shame. Especially with all the beautiful tans and browns and kind of camel colors that are trending right now, nude tones. I have lots of ideas to use those. Now this one had a straight seam, definitely. But I bet this one had a curved center back seam. Oh, this one didn't even have a center back seam, so that's fine. It can actually, it means it was cut on a fold and it can be identically straight. But these guys have a lot of curve to make up for it. So that's the next step. Let's draw those curves in. Let's clamp them away. Try not to damage the skirt with these clamps. Although these ones are pretty decent. They have a bit of a, well, they're not rough at any rate. I'm going to damage this beautiful satin skirt that I love so much. Clamping the right seam, I am. Oh, I'm just so pleased I'm finally getting this done. I've kind of been putting this off for so long. Which is stupid because once I actually sit down, like, I don't have trouble doing this kind of stuff. That's why I want to do it as a business, because, like, I find it enjoyable and it usually turns out nice. And once I got the hang of sewing zippers, that was the only part that ever really frustrated me. That and serging and ruffle feet. Okay, there's a lot of parts that frustrate me, but Most of them I got the hang of by now. So that's fine. And then theoretically, once it's once I can hire a factory and a sample maker, that's not even the stuff I'll be doing anyway. But I like the pattern drafting bit because I like seeing something come to real. Oh, I should have marked where that seam goes. Whoopsie. Because this doesn't have a center back seam to work from. Oh, I know what to do. Okay, where are my side seams? And we'll just mark them based off the back. This is the side seam. It's hard to tell where my side seams are because I've moved everything around. Okay, one of them has a zipper and then the other one's halfway across from that. That's these two. Take that out so I can lay it flat. Okay, perfect. Then I can see. And we'll center it. That's the center. Hold. There, and then just to test, we're going to mark the other one in and then make sure they measure out the same, and if they're wildly different, we'll redo it. Okay, so how long is that? So I've got 17 and a half and a bit. And what's this one? Way less, like a whole centimeter less. So yeah, we're doing something wrong here. How much is this supposed to be? Let's measure it straight on the skirt. Shit, that would have been smart to start. Oh, see, it's only supposed to be like 16 and a half. Yeah, I'm gonna call that 16 and a half. Okay. And then to the side seams, should be. Sometimes it's better to just measure things rather than to try to sketch them. Like to try to physically copy them. That should be 8 and a half. Okay, so that's fine. We'll just do it by measuring instead of trying to draw it out. So 8 and a half is right there. And then I already forgot what I wrote down. 16 and a half. I didn't write it down. That's why I forgot. Yeah, that's a whole centimeter different than what I drew. Which is why we are definitely going to do a test muslin mock-up of this skirt before we try to make one for real. It's always a good idea to do that with a brand new pattern. This side is much closer than the other, so I can't make one for off. I was on the other side. Okay, now this side is kind of irrelevant because it's just a copy of the side. Okay, so now we got this curve. Let's trace out this curve again. I'll reclamp it in place. And oh, and we'll do the same thing up here. We're gonna measure from center back to side curve and side seam, just to make sure we're getting it properly. Although this one is on a curve, which makes it a little more tricky. You can still get a good idea. Okay, about 4 inches. And this one, make sure it's even. Nope, inches aren't working good there. 3 centimeters. Ooh, I've got 8 and a half again? Probably because that's what it was down here. Curve. This little ruler is neat because it has a curve so you can pick it up, but it also works for drawing a curve, which is nice. Those are two completely different curves.
Let's try to even them out. But they're not hold still.
Hold still. Okay. Yeah, something like that maybe. Okay, that's good for the side seam. And then now, I've said this twice now, we are finally going to draw in the side curve. Now that we've matched it all up. Was that the dog?
I don't know.
Did you hear that bang?
What?
Did you hear that bang?
Where was it?
In the bedroom. Go check and make sure she didn't like knock something over.
Sweet Jesus.
I didn't hear any dog noises, so I assume she's okay. Did she struggle to get into the laundry bin?
It's probably the same thing I heard earlier.
Ooh, that worked nicely. That one looks way better than these front ones, but it's a different curve entirely, so definitely has to be done separately. It doesn't look that different from that side, but I think it is quite more dramatic than the front one. Yeah, so you can see this one's like 2 inches of gap, and this one's only like not even a full inch. So that's the difference between the front and the side seams, darts, splits. Not really a dart, but functions as a dart. Well, it's actually the opposite because this isn't cut out. This is going to be over 2 overlapping pieces. It'll make sense when it's in physical 3 dimensions. I do not have a dress form. I really need to get one, but they can run quite expensive unless you get just the right timing and everything. So I have not achieved one yet in my life. Okay, I think that's all of the main parts of this skirt. Oh, let's draw in the waistband markings. Why didn't I do that? I've got. I have to do the lining next. I want to make sure I've got all the shell parts sketched first. Okay, back because I'm on the back piece. Yeah, I was actually sad because last year, probably like literally a year ago, right before quarantine happened, it was early enough that we knew Corona existed, but not early enough that, you know, things were locked down. So we went out for dinner at one point. Why is that not even at all? Oh my God. And we saw a shop mannequin outside of a store, like had been, you know, dumped. And I'm like, oh, I want it, but I shouldn't take it because it's kind of Corona and we don't know what's going on. And so I didn't take it. And now I wish I had because I still want it. I still need one. And, oh, the dry cleaner left quite a big, you probably can't see it on camera, but it's quite a big hole from a safety pin in here. That's kind of frustrating that it hasn't gone away. I think they could have pinned it through the lining or something. Oh well, in the future I'll be more careful. They did dry clean it nicely, so. Why is this not even? Please be even. This is 8.5 centimeters again, I swear. Seems to be the number of choice for this garment. No, this one's a full 9 centimeters. Oh, not quite. This one's like 8 and 75. Please double check that really carefully. No, I'm gonna call it 9. Okay, that's the top seam. So first of all, this needs to be longer. straight. Try again. Sometimes you forget how to hold your ruler to make with a pencil to make it draw in the right place, because you have to move it slightly over from where the... There we go. From where the ruler actually rests. And then I'll clean that line up later. What did I say, 9 centimeters? Yeah, it needs to be more there. Yeah, the skirt is really well made. Everything is perfectly even, which is nice because it's a good quality skirt. So there. Did your quality control on these? You did a good job. That is the wrong side of the ruler. It doesn't even have an end. That's 9.5. I'm gonna call it 9.5. Should really be doing this with the curve, I suppose.
That was 9, correct? 9 on the dot, and then 9.5.
Yeah, see, that doesn't even look like it fits. So that's kind of frustrating.
I'm gonna have to go back and recheck it. Yeah, that was way wider than what I've actually got.
Yeah, what? That doesn't fit at all. How did I get there? Have a good night. Thanks for stopping by. I will see you later. Okay. So that's the problem with folding things. Is that you can get weird fucking numbers. Okay, so where are these lines supposed to be? Yeah, back where I originally fucking drew them. That's what I thought. So let's just cut this in. The other side, and then we'll recheck and see where we're at. I mean, without taking an item apart, it can be a little bit tricky to get something to work perfectly, but if you're careful and you're willing to readjust, you can get it pretty good. I have pretty good luck with these. So. That's still not even. That side looks great. This side looks big. Let's test.
The real line after the line. You have to remember what lines you drew too. So that one goes to about 9.25. 5.25. Well, a little bit less. That's fine. This one's good.
And again, we're not actually doing both sides. I'm just doing this to kind of even it out. If one's too long on one side and too short on the other side, it means the real number is probably somewhere in the middle. So it basically just acts as a measure twice, cut once mechanic. I'm probably just leaning my head over the camera and you can't see anything anyways. Oh well, we'll figure it out. And this
like 7.5. What have I got on this side? 7.5. Okay, so that's not too shabby. Alright, we'll leave it at that.
And then I do need, that actually looks pretty good.
I measure it. Got 9. I got, ooh, not quite 9. Okay, we'll go this side probably.
Dog treats. Okay, so that's all of the front pieces. Again, I'm gonna get my French curve and draw these in nice. Same with these guys, and that's gonna be copied from that. I think it's lining time, which I'm not looking forward to because I haven't spent a lot of time in my sewing career on linings, but they're not that tricky. Usually it's just basically a copy of the front of the garment.
So this one, yeah, waistband is definitely
pretty much straight copy. That's fine. Can do. Turn it inside out even more. You didn't know there was 2 inside outs to a skirt, did you? What did they do? Oh, they put a little bit of reinforcement in on the zipper. That's nice. Especially because this is such a heavy satin, it could use invisible zips can be kind of delicate, so it's nice to have it strengthened. Where the heck's the other side? What have I got here? I don't know. What on the thing? No, I've got to think what I'm doing with my. I might have to go see if I can find a dress that has a slit style, or I guess a pleat style, knife pleat kind of back slit, because this one doesn't, and I don't know if I can work from this. But lining wise, this all looks pretty simple. Match the lining, sew it in along the hem, so it's going to be a little bit shorter there because this has whatever hem that is. Maybe shorter by all these seams match up. And then what? Did they just leave a little bit of extra, or did they do it pretty much? Pretty exact, probably. Fits really nicely. Oh no, there's definitely. I feel like there's a little bit of give. Okay, I'm gonna sew it down. Oh, that's nice. Some of these are nice little details in the skirt. This is one of the reasons I wanted to look at this skirt, because it's got nice little details, like the lining is sewn in, of course, and then it's actually sewn down to the serging here, just to keep it all nicely in place. And then you still can't see any stitching on the front, because that's all sewn in before they, you probably can't see this on camera, that's all sewn in before they blind hemmed it down. So kind of that order of operations is really important when writing out the instructions to put this thing together. Otherwise it doesn't turn out looking so clean and perfect. And then what, they've just raised that up like just a millimeter so it doesn't show. Okay. Yeah, they shorten and match. Perfect. Can do. And then the rest of it is just a matching skirt. Sewn into the zipper. Perfect. Yeah, the lining's not really complicated, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. I am going to pull a different dress to work on that, to look at that when I get to that point. But for now, I'm just going to mark in the lining should be a little bit shorter than me. The actual skirt. Ugh, the next stage is I have to cut this out and redraw them, which is a stage I don't like, so. Then the next stage after that is to actually sew them. Now did they, okay, yeah, that actually matches. That's interesting. The side seams are sewn up, but then this actually falls like the exact same length of the skirt, but I've never noticed it when I'm wearing it, so I'm just trying to determine if that's actually the same length and it just rides up when you're wearing it so you don't see it, or what. That's interesting. I'm gonna make mine with like about a centimeter gap on all the way around, and then if I notice that in reality is too high in the future, I'll do it their way. And this is such a nice detail. They put a little basting stitch just to hold the lining to the skirt, and they've done it through the seam allowances so nothing shows on the front, and it just keeps the lining from riding up or looking weird at any point, bunching, which is beautiful. How many of those are in here? 1, 2. Is it just the 2 down at the bottom? I think so. That's all you'd really need. I wouldn't put more than that in. Beautiful. Well, anatomy of a skirt. Okay, oh yeah, I was gonna write in lining hem is going to be, so this hem we're going to add 0.5 centimeters. The lining hem, honestly, I think we're just going to make exact, because then when we fold it up into the seam allowance, it'll lose just enough to rest like that. Both have beautiful seam allowances, but it's not relevant because we're not doing that style of slit. I think these ones are good. I guess at this point I actually need my French curve, so I'm going to spend 5 minutes looking for it. And if I find it, then I will come back, finish these, cut them out, and do the next step. And if I can't find it, I'll figure out if I want to do something else tonight or if I want to wait until I do find it in the future. Because I saw it within the last month. I've redecorated my entire house trying to fit my desk and my sewing table and my work stand-up desk, which is not really a stand-up desk. It's 2 coffee tables stacked on top of each other, and it's 2 coffee tables and a trench coat, and my rolling desk, and everything in my life has moved, so I can't find anything. But for the most part, I found everything for today except the French curve. So let me go have a look for it. I won't be more than 5 minutes away from the desk, and I'll probably still be talking because I can't stop talking ever. So yeah, let me see what I can do. Oh, I don't have my sketches handy, but I'll leave my mood board out so you can kind of see what I was working from. So there's something on screen. I don't think the sketches show very well. Oh, power cord. But I've got to do a new mood board pretty quick here for the next season's collection. What other box of fabric I want to check? Okay, so no luck. I'm going to have to go through all of my sewing boxes, which are stacked one on top of each other right now. Because I'm sure it's in one of them, but I have no idea which one. There's a bunch of them because I don't have any sewing storage right now besides cardboard boxes. So I will probably do that tomorrow. But for tonight, I'm feeling good about what I got done. I don't know if it's even very visible on camera, but it does look like a pattern in real life. And hopefully later this week I can get back on. I mean, what have I got this week? I've got a lot of work to finish up this week because I took Monday as a slow day and then I took today as a slow day. So I've got to work solidly. What's tomorrow? Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So maybe on Sunday. On Sunday I have to do something because I need a new video to upload for YouTube. So I might be live streaming on Sunday or I might not be. I will be work with me live streaming for the next couple of days, hopefully, at least one of them. Hopefully all three. But then doing something interesting. Hopefully Sunday. And then definitely, I say definitely, it's a little bit of a long shot with me right now. am planning on uploading a new YouTube video, for real video, on Monday. And there might be a live stream involved on Sunday, but no promises. Yeah, you're never sure where anything is either. Yeah, I'm always moving stuff around, and in my old place I always had proper storage. Well, I didn't always. I tried to have proper storage for everything so that I could find stuff when I needed it, but right now I'm kind of hoping to move in the next 6 months because I don't get any natural sunlight in this apartment, and I would like some natural sunlight, so I don't really want to like buy a bunch of big heavy furniture and shelving units and bookcases and stuff, so a lot of stuff is just living in boxes for now, and that's where I'm at. But I think this was a good start for today, and I also don't want to overdo it because I don't want to scare myself off doing the next live stream like this. So I think that's good for tonight, and we will pick up within the next week and within the next 7 days, let's say, and we will be cutting out the individual pieces, marking, labeling, and numbering them, and then we will be starting to cut up and sew a mock-up. If I have mock-up fabric, if I don't have mock-up fabric, I don't know. I said I was going to do this on a mock-up for sure, but sometimes I just don't like doing that. And I might just do it on the real fabric. We'll see how I feel and how much fabric I have in my house. But I hope you guys got something out of that. I hope that was interesting in some way. It'll probably be more interesting once I'm actually sewing something. But then again, it was, for me, I just love looking at the interior design details of all these garments. So if you ever wanted to know the interior of a high-end quality clothing item, now you've seen it in detail. Where did that push pin go? There was a push pin there and now there isn't. Okay, cool. So now I've got to find that. But yeah, hopefully that was of interest. All right, thanks everyone for tuning in. I will see you next time, and make sure you check Twitch for live streams, check YouTube for videos, and I will be around for, yeah, I'll be around hopefully more this month than I was last month. All right, bye everyone.